1 year ago today, Shawn French hit a low.
That was the moment. I was like, what, 230?
Despite having an extremely popular podcast called The Determined Society, he felt like a fraud.
Having a show about determination and looking the way I did was a freaking embarrassment. I couldn't get off my couch because I was so depressed.
In today's episode, Shawn shares the secret of how he got his life and health back in order and became a man aligned with his mission.
I want to wake up in a world where people are determined to chase their dreams no matter how they feel emotionally at that time.
You said it was time to fix yourself. I'm going to make you get fixed now. And Nuviva is a commitment. And that's the secret sauce. That in-person experience for a lot of people is what makes them actually stick to it.
You walk over to Nuviva, everybody knows your name. They're supporting you. It's a team effort. And there's also a lot of accountability baked in.
This is the ManLab podcast with Shawn French. Hey guys, welcome back to the ManLab. Today we have an awesome guest, the host of the Determined Society. He is also a client of Nuviva and T-Clinics and has lost well over 25 pounds, gained lean body mass, and looks fantastic. So please welcome Shawn French.
What's up, man?
Man, I just did the math. It was like more like 40 pounds, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was more like 40.
Yeah,
but
he just told you the number.
No,
Math ain't my strong point.
No, that's after I eat and I have like half a gallon of water in me. Morning time, I'm 197.
You don't pee?
Well, no, like I
was gonna
pee.
say.
No, I store it. I'm like a camel. I store it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, then later.
Anyway, closer to 40 pound loss.
Okay, 40 pounds. My bad, guys. Bad math.
I'm good, man. Come on now.
God, seriously.
All right. Well, remember, go
Six
to
or 7 inches. What do you say?
I have 5. So go to tclinicsusa.com, mention the ManLab for 10% off. They're better at math than I am. So anyway, welcome.
Thank you, bud.
So, where do we start? Run us through very quickly, the Determined Society, your podcast is going from strength to strength. What was the point of, why did you want to do that sort of direction of Determined Society? What was your ultimate goal with that?
Oh, you mean why I started the show?
Yeah, because the name itself is very interesting as well.
Yeah, so for me, it was more of, in the sales world, I was pretty successful in month to month, year over year. And, it was just one of those things where I always ended up at the top 1 to 5% of the sales force.
What kind of business what do you sell?
I was selling payroll, and then I sold medical equipment, and capital equipment and disposables. And it was cool because I was making all this money, but I was like, damn, I can't really see the end user. I can't see who I'm really helping. And there was this massive void inside of me. I just felt like I was meant to do something else. And so started on this personal growth journey. I'm like, what can I invent? People who invent something, and do something special, they create, yeah, right, Alex, like a legacy. I was like, well, I'm not smart enough to invent anything. So what is it? And, I started getting into this direct sales organization. Now, my friend Rainbow and Natalie, they got me, her real name is Rainbow, got me into this Melaleuca thing. And they're like, well, if you're going to sell, it's kind of fire, right? If you're going to do this, then you need to create a personal brand and, start a Facebook page so people can trust you. And then, they see what products you're using and you just refer to the link. It's very simple. You'll make millions of dollars.
It's just that easy.
Sounds legit. Sounds easy, right? Easy. And so I was like, personal brand, what is that? I don't know what that is. And she was like, well, what do people say about you? And I'm like, I have no idea. And she goes, well, why don't you ask them? I'm like, well, how am I going to do that? She goes, post a story on Instagram with a picture of you. What's the first word that comes to mind when you see me? And of course, my buddies had some funny things to say.
Were they accurate?
Most of them. Like one was douchebag. I thought was extremely accurate. But most of it was
self-proclaimed.
Yeah, exactly. Most of it was coach, leader, determination, and there was an overwhelming responses of the D word, determination, in it.
Douchebag word or
no, the good one, determination. And so I'm like, well, people seem to think I'm determined. She goes, great. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? She goes, well, make a Facebook page. I'm like, called what? She goes, I just determined. I go, that's stupid. She goes, Shawn, what do you want? I was like, I want to wake up in a world where people are determined to chase their dreams no matter how they feel emotionally at that time. And she goes, Determined Society. I was like, yeah. Throw the word "the" in front of it, and I started a Facebook page. About 3 weeks later, I realized it could be something very, very special based on the back and forth within the group and the engagement and what people were coming there for, sharing their struggles. I'm like, wait a second, this is everybody telling me on a day-to-day what they want to hear in a platform. And so I said, okay, I'm going to start this podcast called The Determined Society and interview local people, talk about their recipe for success, because everybody's everybody cooks a bake a little bit. I mean, bakes a cake a little bit differently, and let's see if we can provide some value to the audience. And then it just kind of, we did that, and it was very, very silent for a long time. Like, I think my first show I got like 20 listens, and it was that way for a long time, man. And that's just how it started. And here we are now.
What's your average listen per show now? Like
per show, it's in the 20,000s now. Yeah, I mean, I think monthly we're right around 1.6 mil.
So you get a lot of people definitely listening to what you have to say.
Yeah, it's starting to grow, but like the overall mission of it was and still is to give back, to really help people understand that no matter who the guest is, they have something in common with them. Like there's a struggle that everybody goes through every day, whether it's getting in the gym, whether it's nutrition, which you guys have changed my life with, but it's also more of, do I go play with my kids? Like, how can I go and do that? And I always say, hey man, do the hard thing first, right? Because anybody that's successful say the one thing that you don't want to do the first thing, and then the rest of your day, you start to make better decisions. And so we bring that to the platform, and that's really what we try to live off of.
Yeah, nice.
As a podcaster now, like, do you identify yourself now? Is that like your career, or is that more of a hobby, or are you still in the sales position? Like, how much of your time is spent in this arena versus like what you used to do before?
This is 100% my.
So you're
my
done
profession.
with the other.
This is my career. I've been full time in this almost 2 years. January will be 2 years.
More rewarding than the sales of not seeing people.
Well, it is.
Maybe not financially, but I mean like rewarding as far as like personal.
Yeah. We're starting to get there financially, right? Because it's a lag period, but from a standpoint of putting something out there and interviewing people, and then running into people at Wawa or the gym, be like, hey, I listened to that interview. It really helped me. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even realize that interview or that part would resonate for somebody. But when you get that feedback, it's just more information that you're like, okay, this is the route you stay on.
More confirmation.
Right. This is you stay on this interstate right here. Don't deviate, because that's what people want to hear.
Did you get into this podcasting thing during COVID? Like, what was kind of the time frame for you?
Yeah, I would say I started really thinking about it in 2020. I've always wanted to do it because I was a big listener of Andy Frisella's old show, the MF CEO Project. And I really loved how he broke things down, and I learned a lot about discipline through listening to that specific show of his. So it was always something that I entertained, but I always said, I don't have the equipment, I don't have this, I don't have that. So you start to list all the excuses, and they fill up pretty quickly, and then you don't do anything with it. But we launched, the first show was February 21st, 2021. So this February will be 5 years.
So you're right before every single person you knew had a podcast show. Like
I'm
that's
right before.
I think that's the problem we're into
Yeah.
now, right? Like
Yeah.
there's so much content out there. There's so much like, what do I choose? I know Shawn, I know Jeff, I know Joe. I know it's like everybody I know and I'm friends with has a show, and you guys are on each other's shows all the time, and people ask us to come on them, and it's great when someone chooses you over the thousands of other hours of things that you can listen to, and that to itself is a major accomplishment. I'm sure people are listening to this show today contemplating, should I get into doing a show? Mm-hmm. What advice do you really have for somebody who's maybe hasn't entered or still is but hasn't really cracked the code? What's your piece that, because even for us, like our show, we don't get a ton of listens. And if you're listening to this, thank you very much. It's not our full-time jobs by any stretch of the imagination. We got a lot of shit we do. Mm-hmm. But what's your secret to cracking the code?
I think you really got to dive into why you're doing it. Are you doing it because you want to be famous and you think you're going to go viral? You should probably take a back step and not do shit yet. If your vision is to provide value to people and you truly believe in it, and you would do it for free until someone tells you, hey, you got to stop. Like, that's where Like, I was willing to do it for free for the rest of my life because I loved having great conversations with people. And I looked at every conversation as a way for me to work through some of my own things and be coached by somebody. When you're doing these shows, like when we did our show, like I learned more from him, again, in an hour episode. So like they're all coaching episodes. So it was a show, but it was also a check-in for me.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Because I got to have this different conversation with him. But the main piece of advice I have is understand why you're doing it. And it needs to be with the purest intentions. It can't be because it looks cool and everybody else is doing it. You'll never be great.
Quickly, before we get back to the episode, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't on whatever channel you're watching or listening to the ManLab. And if you're listening on Spotify, if you could leave a 5-star review on the channel page, that would be greatly appreciated because that will help continue to push it a little bit further for whoever is looking for information to help improve their health. Now, on the topic of information, if you are on YouTube, you can leave a comment below on this episode and we will respond to it with as much information as possible, or it might be another episode down the road. The reason this is important is because the more questions you guys ask, the more we know what we need to do to serve you guys better in future episodes. So comment on YouTube, leave a 5-star review, hit subscribe, and let's continue to help making men great again. Let's get back to the show.
I think too, like, as a listener of people's podcasts, you can tell how genuine their podcast actually is if they're enjoying themselves. Like one thing's Joe Rogan, why he's so popular. It's so easy to listen to. Like you can tell he just has natural like conversation chemistry with his guests. He actually gives a shit about what they're talking about. He comes in knowledgeable enough to like have a back and forth. I think there's obviously, you need to have some research in the guests and not come in there like, what is it you do? Like,
he also only does guests that he wants.
He likes.
It's
He's
a show
lucky,
for
obviously.
him, and it like that. I think that's the big thing is most people try and cater it to what they think the listener wants, and then the problem is that you start censoring yourself a little bit because you're like, well, they want this, they want that. Whereas Rogan and all the people that are successful at it, they're always just like, well, we want this person on, and then. He said it before, like the one and I learned this when I had my podcast when I first moved here. The one podcast guest that I got given to me was a disaster. You know, like the one, and same as Rogan said the same thing. He's like
chemistry, right? I mean, it's a
You gotta wanna
conversation.
be-
There's
you gotta
got to
wanna
be
talk to him.
something here for us to like genuinely want to listen to. I mean, if you're the guy who's standing there in the fly on the wall in our room, and we're just people that are annoying to listen to, then obviously no one's going to tune into our show.
Exactly.
And, you know, I haven't listened to many of your shows, you know, truth be told. I've listened to a few, and every one, it seems like a very easy to listen to, nice conversation. I know you've had some cool guests.
Yeah.
Like you've had some really famous
just
people.
had a really good one
I know you
just
had Jay
recently.
Leno and some other people that were definitely like, you know, considered more obviously celebrity level.
Yeah.
But who would you remember in your podcast like library that is the most standout to you? Or is there a moment in your?
timely.
I'm sure there's a handful. I won't say the most.
there-
I'll
there
give you
is.
like what's top 5. Like
No,
your top 5.
I'm gonna give you my favorite one because it wasn't until last week that I could actually pick the marquee episode. You know, I could sit there and say, well, I love the Jeff Delaney episode, and I did. And I love the Jay Leno episode and the William H. Macy. But the Luttrell brothers, Marcus Luttrell, the lone survivor, and his brother Morgan Luttrell, between the two of them, they have over 20 years of SEAL service. And to sit there at a ranch with those guys for 3 days, have every meal with them, you know, talk about fishing, watch college football, have coffee, that has to be the most special show I've ever done.
So you spent 3 days on their property in their zone.
It wasn't there. No, it was one of my partners. He owns Wing Ranch in Columbia, Mississippi, and it was a quail hunt. It was a fundraiser event for a congressman, Mike Ezell, out of Houston. I'm sorry, out of Mississippi. And the great part was they coupled up with a dinner and a quail hunt, and then my show with the Luttrells, and it was a special conversation. You know, to hear firsthand what these SEALs go through and that switch that gets broken. Right? They can't turn off the teams when they get back here. And you can't be a SEAL in civilian life. They said you'll die. And so the conversation, I didn't go into what everybody thought I was going to go into. Everybody thought I was going to hammer Marcus for the lone survivor story. That's been done. I wanted the person. I wanted them to bring out little anecdotal things of how to get through the mental struggles. How do they help their brothers? How do they readjust to coming back and they have children? How do they readjust coming back to their wives? So that to me is my favorite episode that I recorded.
Was spending that time with them beforehand like really important for the organic value of that conversation? Like
It's actually really funny because they got there to the ranch like around 4 and we shot at 4:30.
so then you spent your time with them after.
I spent my time with them after. So we sat down, you know, before the cameras were live.
So you guys weren't really cool with each other. You didn't have that like awareness and friendship just yet.
But in the 5-10 minutes, we were just kind of shooting the shit a little bit before the cameras are on. I mean, the cameras were rolling. Like, we have that content. But before I did the intro, like, we were already in a groove. I'm like, all right, guys, stop. We got to bring
That's what Blake always says too. Like, we'll start chit chatting before you get here. He's like, stop talking, because I want to capture this, because this is the real genuine moment. Because you know, as a person who's not into podcasting and like doing this, I have this set agenda of questions I want to make sure I get answered. And it feels very forced. You know, it's almost like I'm in an interview, right?
Yeah.
Like, not an interview,
Especially
like
if it's the second time around.
but a job interview. And I'm like, so where did you go to school? You know, it's like you're doing all this boring shit that nobody wants to listen to. But the just shooting it, you know, beforehand and just getting into a conversation. I forgot the one we were doing. We were just chatting, and Jeff came in, and he's over there talking to us as if like,
he walked in the middle of the set.
We're currently filming, you know, and he thought we were just like having a interview chat.
I was like, keep it in.
but it came out really cool. Like, it came out genuine. Yeah. So
no, I think that is also something that I've learned over the years. Right, I used to go into every interview to have these lists of questions in my phone notes, and I want to make sure I hit them. But then I noticed, like, as you said, Alex, the conversation feels forced, and it's like it's not a natural back and forth. I'm like, well, what if I just understood what they did, understood what their story is, and what their mission, what they want to get across? Then we have this open conversation, right? And just every time they say something, go deeper on it. And so what I've created is this widely open landscape to where my interview style is very conversational. So like the Luttrell brothers said, we didn't even have any idea we were being interviewed.
yeah.
That's what you want. That's the goal.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
Right? Because the conversation's so natural.
Well, you want them to break down that barrier of feeling like I'm on camera. There's some people that are not comfortable, obviously.
Right.
There's some people lock up in front of a light. There's some people that feel like I must come across as this person I'm not, or I want to pretend to be more macho. But, you know, it's like, how do you really get to know somebody genuinely? And I think that's through like what feels like a real conversation. And again, I mean, hats off to Blake for having cracked Jeff and I's shells a little bit over the years and getting us more comfortable doing this.
That's a tough job, dude.
Dude, it was
They're good now. He's a goofball with me.
People, I tell you guys that are
love
good at
it.
this stuff, like him, and you're obviously very gifted at it. It's not easy.
No.
It's not easy just to sit here and do what people do in everyday life. I mean, you go to lunch with your friends and you chat. To do it on camera and to know that everything that you're saying is being recorded and going to be replayed and comes out with some sort of intention, it is not easy.
You know what the hardest part is?
What's
When
that?
you have multiple in a day and you're absorbing the energy from each guest.
What's the most you've done in one day?
Oh, I mean, 9?
That's a lot.
We did a road show in Jacksonville last year, and we did 9 25-minute episodes. By the 4th one, man, I had this headache. I mean, I was
Emotionally
I was
drained.
emotionally wracked.
No, again, I mean, I will say, if you're listening to this show and you guys have listened to Shawn, or you've listened to us or Blake or anybody else for that matter, you got to give their podcasters more credit than you probably do, because it is not easy. It is a lot of energy. It's a lot of just exhaustion. I mean, I think I leave these shows at times more mentally exhausted than a full day of work.
Oh, 100%.
It's
It
because you
depends on who
can't
you have,
distract
too.
yourself. Like, even when you're out with friends, there's a lot of breaking it up. Like, you don't sit down and just focus on a conversation. Like, you know, there's kids running around, you get a distraction, you get the phone out to scroll for like a second, you go to the bathroom, sitting down, like, this is, you're locked in. It's a very different thing. But it kind of, if it's a good conversation, it goes like that.
Yeah.
If it's a bad conversation,
Well, that too
holy
plays
shit.
into it, right? Because you're also mindful of how long is this going. Like, shit, we're 2 hours into this, and we're usually an hour show. So you're
Right.
trying to, like, have we said, or have I given the respect to this guy to say what he came to say? Have I let my audience hear what needs to be heard? I think my audience wants to know, where did you go to school? Or like, tell us about your whole life or whatever. But we may get off on a tangent about your favorite vacation. And meanwhile, I'm thinking, well, my audience don't give a shit about your vacation. But that's what I want to know. And
But it's funny because, like, you would think that, but then it's going to hit a man or a woman that hasn't taken a vacation with their family in
Right.
7 years. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
There's
you never
lessons
know.
in everything, in every little single conversation that we
well, like
have.
you said, you think everyone wants to hear that lone survivor story. In reality, that's not what you wanted to hear. Maybe some of your audience tuned in to hear that same story, and you wanted to know what was it like basically in civilian life. And that's I think that's the way to be successful when everybody else thinks to go this direction and you say, I'm going to go that
Hit him
direction.
with that one.
That's how I won a trip to Vegas. different story, different time. Yeah. Wow, because it's the same thing. It's like if you're whatever your knee jerk reaction is or thought is, never go with it. Because I can guarantee like 95% of people will think the same thing.
Yeah.
And that was the thing with the Vegas example. For example, like your lone survivor, it's like, all right, everyone thinks this, go different. My thing where I won a trip to Vegas was give us 25 words or less, and give us what you would do in Vegas that should stay in Vegas. Obviously, most people start going, well, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And I was like, if I told you, I wouldn't be staying in Vegas. Those 9 words, whatever it was like, earned me a $10,000 trip. Because I knew that most people are going to be like, well, I'll answer it head on.
In Vegas?
You never know.
You never know.
You never know. I did come back with a tattoo and a mum that was angry.
See, there you go.
But yeah, it's to your point. That is a very interesting thing. And like, that's what I like to do sometimes as well, is like, if a guest is coming on, what do people think they're going to talk about? And then it's like, well, where can we go differently about that?
Yeah.
Which is what I wanted to go on. Being determined, and obviously we're going to be talking about like your weight loss journey and gaining muscle. What's been the hardest, because you are a determined person, what's been the hardest thing you have gone through, even with the support of Nuviva and T-Clinics?
As far as the weight loss goes?
Any part of it.
I just think as things get busier in business and with the show and all the demands, I was on a roll in July, like up to July. And then we went to Ecuador for vacation. And then I came back, had some bad blood work, and I'm like, okay. And then I got distracted. I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this over here now. I know how to operate here. Like, I can do this. And then I'm going to focus on all these things for the show. And then I look up in, late October, and I said to him, like, hey, bro, we got to
reel it back.
We got to reel it back in, dog. Because
Jeff's like that little
Jiminy Cricket, bro.
Jump on your shoulder, reminds you, get your ass back in the gym and start eating good again. It's like so, that devil on your shoulder and the angel on the other side.
But the great thing is like he leads with such empathy, right? And he's compassionate. So I can say, hey man, I'm messing up, and he'll be like, all right, we're gonna get your ass back in here. Meet me at 2. I'm like, okay, we're gonna do that. But for me, it was the hardest thing in it is getting distracted with all the things, the revenue streams, the switching the platforms, signing with an agency, making sure everything is lining up with PR, making sure I'm hitting the storylines, making sure I'm getting everything out of the guests that I can get out of it. All of the things, the external things, I started to forget about me again. And when I realized that, I was like, okay, let's grab it. Let's pull this thing back. Let's pull Jeff back in, and let's attack this. And that's what we're currently doing.
Do you find, like, obviously you're on camera, people are seeing what you look like. Did you find that your ability to be a better in-camera person was better because you felt more confidence with your weight shed and your look?
Oh, hell yeah, man.
Like, man, I feel like I look good, so I want to put it out there more, and I was more confident in like how you spoke, and because obviously you're overweight, feel like shit. You're like, man, I'm not doing like obviously having been there before, and then transitioning to where you are today. Do you feel today your demeanor and your persona is stronger and comes out better because of your fitness and your health?
I'm not as angry.
That does help.
Like, dude,
you don't want to hit a guest.
Yeah, no.
You said a good show. Even like recently,
actually,
you just feel like this. Like you're a lot more calm and like you're just in the zone, having like just your thought process. Obviously, we added a couple cool things.
We had a couple cool things. You can talk about it if you want. I don't know.
Well, I mean, listen, I kind of told you when you called me, you're like, man, like I need to figure this out. I mean, that's very common for a lot of people. They focus on their weight loss or their muscle building or whatever. Life kicks them in the face at some point, and it went to the back burner. And, you just got to the point where it's like you had these priorities, and it happens to so many people. And I just said, listen, you just got to put some other stuff to the back burner that you don't need to focus on. Let's pull it back. And you don't have to be 110% in, but let's find some consistency in it and just restructure your day, restructure things. Because I think you were frustrated. Like you were so busy, your workouts went to the wayside, then your food went to the wayside, which happens to most people. And until it becomes second nature for you, that most people end up in that position.
One of the things that our business provides, or clinics, if you're not in where we are, it's that identity of kind of, like you say, community, the society. Like that's in our own little way. Like we provide that. We have this sense of, come to us and it's our little community and we'll get you on track because there's an identity and a physical structure and a accountability, whether it's Nuviva or T-Clinics, that, doing this with somebody or in a group is different than just ordering some shit online.
Dude, it's so different.
Doing it from home and thinking you're going to like all of a sudden take a shot of something and then be motivated to diet or motivated to work out. And if you can't get your shit together enough to really get you on the road to where you want to be, simply buying a product isn't going to do it.
No.
You need a Jeff or a Wally or a Danny or a whomever else it is that you're working with. That's like your go-to guy that says, all right, bro, like enough. Like you said it was time to fix yourself. I'm going to make you get fixed now.
We're going to take a break to quickly talk about Nuviva Medical Weight Loss. They have helped over 50,000 men and women across the state of Florida and other states as well throughout America lose those unwanted pounds and keep them off long term. Now, they don't do cookie cutter methods. They're going to make sure that you have your own system that will cater to your current lifestyle to help with your transition into making healthier long-term habits so that it's not this unsustainable short-term hop on hop off situation. Now, there are different methods you can do. You can choose different diets like keto, intermittent fasting, or whatever is going to suit you properly. You can do just diet and exercise with the proper nutrition, accountability, as well as coaching. Or you can also opt into having medical support as well with GLP-1s or GLP and GIP combinations to help with that appetite suppressant. These are very useful because what happens is you can use that as a spanner in the works, satiate yourself in the short term while you're building those habits long term. They get you off those medications so you're not relying on them like other places out there that love to just keep throwing you the medication. They're gonna make sure that you can get off it, build sustainable habits long term, and they have seen people lose upwards of sometimes 80 to 100 pounds and keep it off for years to follow. So if this sounds good to you, head to nuvivaweightloss.com. That link is in the description of wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast. So if that sounds good to you, head to nuvivaweightloss.com. That link is in the description of wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast. And let's go and kick some goals and make your life that much better with those extra pounds lost and gone for the rest of your life. Let's get back to the show.
Do you go better with tough love or like pats on backs? What's your
I'm more of a
motivation?
words of affirmation kind of guy. That usually works more for
Jeff's
me.
better than you wouldn't like me.
Yeah, no, like the other route reminds me too much of my childhood, and there's trauma there. Like, that's when I push back. But you know the coolest thing about it, and you hit on it, Alex, was community. Like the other day, like I went to see Dr. Baza because he wanted to call me in just so he can go over my blood work and everything like that. And I walk into T-Clinics before to see you or afterwards to throw you a shirt and talk to you. There's Nick Eiler there, and it's community. These are all my friends.
Yeah.
I'm walking, I'm like, what's up? It's like cheers, man. You walk over to Nuviva, everybody knows your name. They're supporting you, and it's a team effort. And there's also a lot of accountability baked in, but it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't feel like it. So for anybody out there that's like really kind of, especially local here in Southwest Florida, can actually physically walk in to one of these clinics, like, dude, tap in, because both places truly give a shit about your success. It's not about, the exchange of money for a product. It's so much more than that.
Yeah, we've talked to so many people that ask us all the time, how do we feel these telehealth platforms or these medications being covered by insurance will influence our business? I'm like, sure, I can't sit here and say they won't, but you don't have that identity of a clinic where people give a shit. It's important. I mean, I think for a lot of people to feel like I go somewhere where people care, and I don't care what that is. And if they listen to your show to know that, hey, I can kind of relate to this guy because he's like someone I trust and I honor what he says, or goes to a clinic with Jeff and he's like, man, I can see it in him. He actually cares beyond just the dollars being made. Regardless of what business you're in, I think that's super important to always remember that you have to have conviction in what you do, and you have to create a product and a space that people can trust.
Sure.
Sure.
You actually said off camera earlier, so you've kind of you haven't lost any weight or on the scale weight in 3 weeks. But that doesn't bother you anymore for a certain reason. So it's obviously because you're building lean muscle now and everything. How does it feel to reach that point where obviously when people start losing weight, it's all about the scales. It's all about the scales, but you're now at that point where you're just like, I don't care anymore. I'm looking in the mirror and I'm feeling my clothes. how long did it take you to reach that point, and how does it feel that you're at that point now?
I think it took a long time, man. I think it's something I'm working through now over the last 3 weeks, really. To like, okay, I'm stabilized at this weight, but what are you seeing, right? And not what are you seeing, it's also what are you feeling, right? Because I can look at my weight, okay, that's not changing. You know, like a week ago, this shirt was tighter on me. I'm like, okay, I'm stabilized, but I'm recomping still, right? So I can stay this weight, doesn't matter. And then I look for the evidence in the gym, right? So if I'm doing something like with a push or a pull, and if I've got train tracks running up and down my arm like I do, like, screw it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good. Like, but let's stay dialed in. You know, let's make sure we make the good decisions throughout the day, and let's see what this thing looks like in 6 months.
Have you always, prior to meeting Jeff, were you, like, for the most part of your adult life, overweight, or was that something that you kind of crept up on you with your success of being a good sales guy?
No, I think that's when it peaked, is when I started, you know, in and out of the car, eating out of convenience, very stressed, cortisol levels are high. You know, I had a really mean boss at Paychex. I'm kidding, he's right there. But like,
He doesn't look like a guy I like, man.
Yeah, seriously. But like, there was a lot of stress in those environments because you're measured on not just your monthly numbers, but what you have sold and turned in for that day. So you're focused on that, and you're eating out of convenience. And I always never ate lunch alone. I was always taking somebody to lunch, like whether it was an insurance agent, you know, someone I could partner with, whatever. But that really started to hit when I got into sales. Growing up, it was that way until college because my parents always ate out of convenience. You know, what's easier? You know, you got the hamburger helper, you've got the fast food, you know, life's busy, coming home from a baseball game, McDonald's, right? Whatever it was. But as I got into college, I didn't have that issue anymore, right? My sophomore year, I said, okay, if I'm ever going to take this thing, you know, to a Division I university, then I need to look the part and feel the part. So I got
you were
really
pretty, you were pretty fit in
yeah,
college.
I was about 185, 190 in college.
And
He's a
then
good baseball
early
player.
life not so fit, and then now with this chapter of your life. So the story is like it's never too late.
It's-
you don't
yeah,
have to
it's
have been
never
one
too
of the,
late.
you don't have to be one of these guys that was born ripped and luckily had this great genetic predisposition. No. You had episodes through your earlier years, even when you were a kid, that was. You know, a lot of people think when they look at us that we've all been giftedly, you know, fit. And I know Jeff has been openly admit he was a little chubby kid.
Yeah.
You know, when I first met Jeff, he was a little bowling ball. So I mean, he was about
bulking.
50 pounds heavier than he is today.
I was big.
that
What were you?
Yeah.
How much were you?
At my highest, I was 230.
What are you now?
Probably 188.
Yeah, so 50 pounds more.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was skinny, man. I was a skinny little kid. I went to college at
was
like
an asshole.
130.
I thought I wanted to be a bodybuilder.
I went to college at 135.
Really?
When I left for college, the day I went there, I was weighing 135 pounds.
And then he found
Then I
antibiotics.
found, then I found steroids.
Then he
and
found steroids. Now look at his
I came home a year later. I came home a year later at 205.
Oh my God, that's hysterical.
And then I
ate his
fucked up
old
my
self.
hormones, and this is why we're in this business.
But hey, there was a lesson there, and you.
Yeah.
and
Hey
you
man,
made
there was
great business
there
out
was
of
something
it.
that drove me to do it, right? And then I figured I'd do it smart and healthy. But
You know what's crazy? I had a thought when you asked me that question about, you know, my journey of my weight and everything. In the adulthood part of it, I always led with shame. I hate the way I look. I don't like myself right now. I'm going to starve myself, right? Or think that I'm doing nutrition right by barely eating. And I'm going to work out once or twice a day, every single day. And when I was in college, I worked out and I ate well because I was an athlete. I needed to perform. It was a very simple thing for me to connect. What worked this time is it started with going to Jeff with a lot of shame, but then I realized if I'm gonna make this run and change how I operate every day, change my physique, change my health, then I have to do it from a place of love for myself. And I'm not talking, you know, toxic positivity, like everything's great. No, it was like, hey, dude, you love yourself, right? Then do what's good for you. And so I started leading out of some compassion for myself. And that, to me, works so much better because I'm changing everything from the inside first and not leaning on the outside, because I don't think I mean, a lot of times you can, plow through for maybe a year or two, wanting to look the best. But if that's all it is, I don't think
A little bit.
So run us through.
Yeah, a little bit of shame's fine.
Run us through. So you've known Jeff or known of Jeff. It was time for you to say, it's time for you to feel good. Like you hit a wall, you hit a point in your life where you were like, was there a moment? Was there a thing that was the straw that broke the camel's back for you that said, I feel like shit. I look like shit. I gained too much weight. I couldn't put this outfit on. I saw this photo. I was like, what was the moment?
All that shit, dude.
Was it being on camera and being self-aware? Because I'll tell you, that's like the biggest mind screw. If you don't do this ever, let me tell you something. Looking at yourself on camera all the time is deadly for your self-image, man.
So
you see every problem on yourself. You're like, I got to fix this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm good.
It just depends on what side I'm on, and I'm okay.
It was
Kidding.
Me and Jeff have had multiple years of building the relationship and building things out. So, it wasn't just a year ago I started working with Jeff, but that was the breaking point. I couldn't get off my couch because I was so depressed.
Because you saw yourself on camera and you were just like...
That was part of it, but I didn't feel good. I was like binging, ice cream and, chocolate,
You never tied your shoelaces on the side though, did you? Did you get to that point?
Dude, there was times where like I was bending over and it was hard. Like I was going
That's
up and
sexy.
downstairs.
You went the Crocs.
Yeah. No, I'm not going Crocs ever, dude.
I
Hell
actually
no.
wore some this morning. I had to run out of the house to go get a haircut. My son's
You just
not to get
temporarily
off
lost
topic.
self-respect?
Dude, they're kind of comfortable.
Don't.
I'm
not gonna wear
You know
Crocs.
what's funny? Like I would never wear them, but damn, I put a pair on once.
They're comfortable.
Because somebody had them.
Yeah.
I had to take my dog. I was like, these fucking things are sweet.
Fucking weird.
No, I
bro.
wore them this morning. I'm like, God, these things are nice, but they're so damn ugly.
So
man.
ugly.
And then like when people are like, well, these ones have like, a certain style to them. I'm like, yeah, it's called dorky.
Yeah, it's not good. Unless you're a surgeon, I don't want to hear it. Because I could imagine those would be comfortable wearing in surgery.
I mean-
But all right, so back on track. So what was the question?
You were talking, so you're
I don't know,
basically
the
at your,
Like, what was
your
the thing
low.
that made
were-
you say, I
yeah,
got to
that
do it?
kinda
Like, I got to
shit.
start.
So the only time I could really get up off the couch and out from underneath the blanket was when I was recording, because I knew it was my job. I had to go do it, right? But there was a John Huffman event. I've been very public about this, and I saw Jeff from across the room, and I didn't say anything. I didn't say hi. I was so embarrassed, and at that point, I was like, what, 230?
Yeah.
Like me being in public, having a show about determination and looking the way I did, it was a freaking embarrassment.
I feel like you're like a fraud.
Fraud.
Yeah.
Right? No, I was determined and disciplined in my business. Like I was building something, but all this other stuff, the things that people can visibly see, like I wasn't handling my shit. So about halfway through, lunchtime, I'm sitting down and he comes up and he goes, he's got a plate of freaking lettuce. And he goes, hey man, what's up? I'm
What
like,
you eating?
I'm like, no, it was just like, he's like, how are you? I was like, I'm all right. I was like, look, dude, I need your help. I need to get back. He's like, okay, well, come get your hormones. I'm like, no, I'm on hormones, but I'll come back to you for hormones. I was like, dude, I need fat camp. Like, I need you to put me through Nuviva. And he's like, okay, well, because it was about a year ago. It was a year ago.
Yeah.
He's like, go Thanksgiving.
Yeah, because it was right. His
Yeah.
event was last year around this time.
Yeah. He's like, go to Thanksgiving, have your fun, but get a hold of me when you come back. And so that was the moment. Like, that was the moment I decided, like, I can't be in public building the show. It's never going to go anywhere. Never going to get to the point I need it to get to if I don't change this.
Find out if you may have low testosterone for free with the Atom test. Now, sometimes it's a little bit nerve-wracking to go into a clinic to get a full blood panel to find out your hormone levels. And sometimes you might just want to sort of kick the tires just a little bit. If you are that person, the Atom test is for you. All it is a couple of questions that are completely non-intrusive, non-invasive, that will help give an indication to you whether you may or may not have low testosterone. And the best part is the Atom test is accurate up to 88% of the time. So for something as simple as a questionnaire, that is a very high number. Now, if you want to make use of that, you can do it online right now. It takes less than 30 seconds to fill out, and it is at bit.ly/free Atom test. That's free ADAM test. Now, if you don't want to remember that, the link is in the description of wherever you're listening or watching this podcast. And then after you've filled out the questionnaire, you will now have a better idea of whether you may or may not have low testosterone and if you need to take the next step, which is a detailed blood panel with a clinic such as T-Clinics USA. So again, to make use of that, go to bit.ly/free Atom test, and let's continue to making men great again. Let's get back to the show.
Yeah, and Nuviva is a commitment. Like again, it goes back to the differentials between what's out there for different people. Some people can buy a product and just do it at home, and some people need to say, I'm committed. I'm going to be there every week. I'm going to get on the scale in front of your staff. I'm going to own up to what I did. And that's the secret sauce. You know, we preach about this idea that we're not just a shot clinic in Nuviva or in T-Clinics. We're not just an online telehealth, you know, testosterone and peptide place. Like, we provide you some structure. And I think that in-person experience for a lot of people is what makes them actually stick to it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're back under the couch with the ice cream again.
Well, when I saw you, I remember too, you were I could tell you were a little bit down, and you're like, dude, I got to do something. I know what to do, but I cannot do it. And he's like, you know, I think actually you asked me, he's like, can you just kind of write me out a plan or something? I'm like, nah. I was like, we're doing Nuviva. And like, just so I know the accountability that you get. Like, and sometimes when I know somebody too close, it's nice to give them somebody else to be accountable to. And you have like everybody in that clinic's like so very much similar to us. So we do a good job of trying to make sure that people there truly want to see you succeed. And so like the goal was to get you in with them. And I knew like once you got into the groove, you'd be good. And so just in that, and you even said it like that accountability.
How long after you started it did you admit it to people that you didn't know that you were doing something? Were you one of these people that once you got on your show or talked publicly like, hey, I joined Nuviva, I'm starting to lose weight? Or were you one of these people that was like, let me see if this works for me before I start talking about it?
No, it was immediate. It was immediate. I started talking about it, and then my speech pattern changed. I wasn't cursing as much, and then
you weren't angry with yourself. You felt like it was
it was just, you know, you have the chip on your shoulder. You don't know why, but you're unhappy. So that part of you is going to come out. And then shortly after, like I would say right around January, I was down to like 200. I mean, it happened quick.
Was there any product in specific you remember using that was like super, you know, important in your progress, or was it just the accountability?
Tirzepatide was huge.
Yeah,
Tirzepatide for me was huge. We tried semaglutide, and then I got I didn't like. I didn't
get nauseous from it.
I got nauseous, and I didn't even want to eat. I was like, dude, I don't even want to eat lettuce. And so I told him,
Don't worry about that one.
Seriously, that sucks. But then so he's like, well, let's try tirzepatide, and so we did that, and it was awesome. I mean, it changed.
You do any peptides also?
Oh, did I do?
Is he on doing any
And we
peptides?
did the full everything we had in the program.
But anything currently like
he's actually just went on Semarelin
Yeah, I
at
actually got that
nighttime,
today.
and then we're gonna switch up. We added he's on NAD plus, which he called me. He's like, bro, he's like, oh my god, like that was like what
we got to bump up
last
from
week.
Semarelin. We got to turn the volume.
He's
on
about
that
to go
up.
5
CJC
amino
hip
1Q with
do some
NAD.
CJ or
So-
Tessa hip on him.
But I'll tell you what's cool about just, you know, watching you, and even just recently in the last 3 weeks when you got back on track, you got to a period where you dropped really, really quick, and you got into a really good spot, and then you had some weeks where you were stuck, and it messed with you. And it was like in that time, like we coaching you on understanding the science or just nutrition and what happens in the body. And now it's like this go around, like the last 3 weeks, you're like, I've been the same, but I feel the difference. I know I started training. I'm eating better. I'm body composition. Like you understand it now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
And
you.
that's-
I'd say you look super fit. If I don't know you, when I saw you walking the road, I'd be like, this guy's in good shape.
All right, we can stop it here.
I mean, you know, but which is important because I think some people think you have to be a complete disaster to admit that you want to improve yourself. And you may not be as bad as you once ever were, but you recognize that there's still room for improvement.
Absolutely.
And that still requires even more work, unfortunately, because to get from where you currently are, which is not as bad as you once were, to get to that next tier is that's a feat. You know, it's like what we always kind of relate to like climbing mountains. You know, starting at the bottom mountain's easy, top of mountain's super hard. You're getting more and more close to that like ideal range. Every step is exhausting.
Yeah.
It's like when to Peru, you know, when you got to the top of the mountain, I can't breathe up there and everything's hard. Same thing, you know.
There's different summits, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like
You need that
keep
extra.
going, and you just realize like, wait a second, if I got here, there's no finish line.
No.
You can't have a finish line.
I don't know anybody ever gets to the point where like, this is perfect. I don't want
No,
to go.
because you get older. It's like, you know, now at 37, I'm like, all right, what do I have to do to keep this going? To keep it, because it's like, first you're battling weight or whatever it is, and then you're battling time. And now it's become like a maintenance thing where it's like, you know, how do I keep this going for as long as I can?
It is a strange reality when you think about the fact that we try to fight aging while we are aging. You know, so it's like you can't ever you have this kind of a movement that's happening in the negative while you're trying to go in the positive. And so you're trying to catch up with something that's ultimately never actually standing still.
Yep.
And people ask me all the time, they're like, well, how long do I need to be on these products? I'm like, ultimately, if they're making you feel better forever,
I mean,
because
why not?
if you stop, then that exponential, like you're aging behind the scenes now goes even faster. So you stop slowing down the process and you start accelerating through the aging process. So yeah, I mean, you're not stuck on something, but you're never going to fix aging. You can't.
You just try to slow it down.
Aging's
Just
not
make that
fixable,
gap a
like-
little bit less.
Yeah, you never want to start with TRT and then hop off of it.
No, or
Because your levels drop, man.
or NAD. Like people think, how long are you going to take this stuff? I'm like, you feel better since being on? Like, yeah, dude, my energy's great. I'm like, well, let me tell you how you stop. You've been aging for 2 years behind the scenes without this. Now you're going to feel 2 years older and not have the prop up support of NAD that got you to feeling good. So you're going to feel pretty bad. When this
Yeah, it
is
was
over.
wild because I called him. What was it
Last week.
Last week. I mean, they also mixed in phentermine.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, so
He's
he
like,
feels
life
real
is
good.
glorious.
I was like, I'm seeing colors and shit.
He's like, man, like I don't know what's going on, but like my whole outlook. I'm like,
I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like my lights are turned
no,
on.
but he did. NAD. We're about to add 5-amino with it. Like, I mean, just everything you should be seeing from it, you're getting, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, I need less coffee.
Yeah.
You know, I think I'm 1 cup a day now.
That's right. American coffee sucks. So
I know.
you're in a
but
better place
That's
now.
all I know, Blake.
Yeah, well,
That's all I know. I mean,
you know.
But it's like he's going to like 7-Eleven to get a coffee. I'm sure he has.
Hey, 7-Eleven's honestly your best coffee you guys have in Florida. I'm not gonna lie.
wow.
Wawa.
Come on. I live in Miami. There's some good coffee.
Yeah, there's some good coffee.
You got to go
in
Italians.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean,
real
you guys have
Italians.
Pete's
Or
here.
Cubans.
You guys have Pete's coffee here. I had.
I
There's a
haven't
place in
met- I haven't
Naples
met
called
Pete.
Acopio. You got to try it. It's like
Really?
Colombian, amazing.
Sounds like a great coffee.
Sorry,
place.
I'm just putting a plug out there. Like I've been there. I went there
do a
once,
coffee
and then
talk
I go
show.
like 3 times a week. But just
need to
when you're
go.
down there, you got to try it for
need to
sure.
go.
Yeah.
So what's your goal now, health wise, and then we'll go podcast wise. But yeah, health to wrap this up.
Well, shoot, man. I think health wise is just to stay on track, really, just to understand that, you know, every single day, this is a privilege. It is not a chore. You know, I get to go do this. I get to go, even if I'm not feeling my best, I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna hit it, right? I'm gonna, as you would say, turn up. I'm gonna show up for myself. I'm gonna get it done. And I think long term, I mean, it's funny because last time I'm like, yeah, 12% on Adexa. I don't think I have that now. I just, you know, for me, by the time, you know, the next birthday hits in October, I want to be light years ahead of where I'm at right now. That's really it. Just continuous improvements.
Which is a wild thing to kind of think that you're going to be better off physically and you're going to be in better shape when you're older than when you're younger. And it's amazing that we live in a time where we can allow ourselves to have this, I'm going to be advancing better than going negatively.
Well, your mindset has shifted. Like it's so much mindset, and it seems like in the past year it's shifted a lot for you, and it will only continue to shift if you keep on track. Like I meet kids that are 22, 23, and I'm just like, why am I younger than you? You know?
Well, you know,
Like,
we live in a time where I feel like being unhealthy is a choice. You know, and I hate to say this because I do run weight loss practices, but I feel like being overweight nowadays is a choice. You have so many options. You have so many things to resource. There's so many peptides and weight loss medications and hormones and clinics like ours and blood tests and good healthy food choices that are backed by science. And I'm not saying it's for everybody because there's a financial component that's built into that, but it's also expensive to be sick, and it's expensive on yourself and your
So
mind
there's hidden
to
costs.
invest in feeling like shit. You don't get things done.
Pay
your
more
career
up
goes
front,
down the
save
tube.
a little bit in the back
Yeah,
end.
absolutely.
save a lot in the back end.
And I know, like, I try to say this as a business owner, like, our business is something that's now becoming not a luxury or a choice. It's almost a necessity. And I'm not saying do it with us, but you got to do something for yourself.
I say do it
health-wise.
with them.
Yeah, please do it with us. Someone's got to pay for all this. But doing your health now, to me, is the cool thing to do. You know, you can see that actually in society. Like, they're saying Vegas is dying. I live in Miami where all the nightclubs are closing because everybody's going more towards health and wellness. These resorts are leaning themselves more towards the wellness space where they're doing, you know, red light rooms and sauna and hyperbaric chambers more than they're doing, you know, bars and clubs and stuff.
That's sick, dude.
I think there's, for the first time in like,
Well, don't shut down
probably
Vegas
since
between
they've
next
started
month.
doing history of this, the drinking of like teens and party scenes have come down.
I mean, they've kind of gone to other
2019,
drugs.
2020.
Well, people are doing more drugs.
It's a little bit
but-
of a shift to a
But I
different
think
problem.
that more of these young kids are doing like cold plunging and red light, and everybody's into some kind of peptide or some kind of, health test. It's crazy. The movement is super addictive now. You got to be part of it. If you're not, you're not the cool kid anymore.
Well, 2019, 2020 definitely, I think, started that. And now it's starting to snowball. It's like everyone's really trying to be proactive in their health. And they know, the government or the regular doctor, Western medicine's not going to do it for them.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, our space is been so loudly spoken about, whether it be in the podcast community or obviously in social media platforms, that if you're not aware of it, it's crazy to it's got to be the most emerging industry in the world, health and wellness, second to AI, mind you.
AI is big, man.
But yeah, health and wellness is wild, and it's crazy to think where the hell we're going to be in 2 years from today.
Yeah, I'm excited for that actually, because you
I'll have
never
a
know what's
robot
gonna happen,
made.
right? Yeah, the robot made.
100%.
I just
I want a shot to have to be jacked,
Yeah.
I don't want to have to worry about. I like to work out, and I like everything goes with it.
Myostatin inhibitors.
But I just want the give me one shot, and I can stay in physically great shape, and then I can do that because I choose to want it.
I think you guys need to go to your laboratory and figure that shot out.
Back to the lab.
Back to the lab.
Back to the lab.
So to wrap it up, what's your goal with the Determined Society?
Man, I just think that when I got a message this morning from somebody that was in Mississippi at the event, and her name is Joe, and she said the one regret I had when I was there, because I had just met you, I didn't know how great your show was. And she went on to tell me all the things that she got out. She started, listening. She listened to 4 shows in the last 6 days, and it's impacted her. And so that's what I want. I want the global impact. I want people to get something from the show, and of course, there's brand deals and there's big deals that multi-year deals that come along with that. That's great. That'll come, but the focus is what are people getting out of it? And as long as, in 5 years I can walk down the road and everybody knows that if they are struggling, then you need to be listening to the Determined Society. That's my overall goal. Everything else will be a byproduct of that.
Who's your dream guest? Like your interview. Like who's the person you're shooting?
Dead or alive.
it's hard.
Dead or alive.
There's so many of them, right?
Well, give us a 2 or 3.
I mean,
It doesn't have to be one.
I would say Rogan, but he doesn't really go on shows. Kevin Hart, he's pretty funny, man. I like Kevin Hart. I'd love Eminem.
Eminem.
Yeah, I'd love to
Okay.
interview Eminem.
Eminem pre 2020.
Yeah.
Oh no, I love Eminem. I think he's great. But those are like some of the celebrity guests that I look at and would really want. I mean, Sydney Sweeney.
How often? Yeah. Hey, she can come on the show.
She doesn't even have to talk.
She's going on
How do
ManLab,
you
right?
as you're trying to become somebody? It's a chicken and egg scenario, right? Like you can't become well known without having these quality guests, but you can't get the quality guests unless you're well known.
Yeah.
Is it a pay for play type of industry? Is that how some go about doing it, or is it earned, or you just have to be lucky and step into a good show that kind of springboards you?
Well, let's be
Or you
very
just
honest.
stalk people.
This industry is always pay to play. Let's just really be clear with that, because whether it's marketing, you're paying to get your show out in front of other people. You're going into your platform, you're clicking the marketing button, you're cross promoting on other people's show, putting your show on other people's feeds. That is pay to play, right? But as far as the guests, I've never paid for a guest. I've never paid for a guest. I didn't pay for Jay Leno.
Did guests ever offer you money to be on your
yeah.
show, to get
Oh, yeah.
publicity and to get presence? Like, hey, I want to come on your
happens.
show because I have a thing I'm launching and we'll give you X amount.
Somebody offered me $7,500
just to be interviewed.
I'm like,
because they know they'll get that many
all right,
per
let's do it.
person listening.
like, let's do it.
Which is wild when you think about these shows like Rogan and stuff, like they have so many people listening, what the value of that content is. I mean, if you think about how much money a company pays to be on the Super Bowl, right? Like $5 million for a 30-second ad. Unless people are watching the Super Bowl, then listen to, some of these top quality podcasters. And it's crazy.
It's definitely a revenue stream, but I think you got to do it the right way. I think if you're targeting brands that want to get their story out, but they can't because they may not have that $50,000 marketing budget, right? And they may not be a big enough brand just to like walk in and go on a Joe Rogan or my show or somebody else's show. They say, hey, I'd like to sponsor this episode. I'm like, great, what's your budget? If someone tells me, all right, my budget is this, okay, well, hey, we can do a virtual show for that, or you can come in person
Yeah, 'cause, I
for
mean,
this,
your time's
and then
worth.
you can get X, Y, Z, you know, and then that often works. But I think that if you're just charging people to come on the show, that's just an everyday person. I think that's where it gets.
Well, no one's going to listen to your show to just get some yin that wants to pay $5K to go on their show and talk about their sneaker store. Like,
Yeah,
it's like,
you have to have a story. You have to have a compelling story to get.
you may have a nobody that's got a badass story that touches the right people versus someone who's like relatively famous that nobody really cares their story. You know, I mean, if you think about that Rogan Trump show, it had like 100 million views in the first 6 hours of it dropping.
It's wild.
Well, you got two of the most famous people in the world.
And at that moment, it was like he, you know, that everybody wanted to hear what he had to say at that moment.
Yeah.
But just the sheer power of that is just,
The timing of that was obviously
yeah, stupid. But like, was that the most listened to podcast ever?
probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I know the Kelsey brothers when they did when Taylor Swift was on was pretty massive, but I don't think it was as massive
God,
as.
you couldn't pay me to listen to that shit.
No, I didn't listen to it. I didn't listen to it, but I have a problem with.
Kelsey?
I don't have a problem with them. I'm confused. Okay, maybe I'm curiously confused on why a future Hall of Famer, two future Hall of Famers, one has one Super Bowl, one has, one for every finger. Why would you endorse a cereal brand that has a bunch of toxins and poisons in it? Like that to me is just kind of weird.
Or why would you endorse Pfizer about getting a vaccine shot when you know that like majority of the population was against it at that time?
Yeah, I forgot about
and you're
that
a young
one.
guy who's healthy and you're preaching get
one.
this
I'm
shot
Band-Aid on.
uncontrolled. When majority of the NFL was like, I'm not putting that shit in my body. I'm not going to do this to myself.
Yeah.
And you're being the spokesperson. It's a sellout move.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's politics played into it. And it was, the Taylor Swift.
I was going to say he was just buttering up Swiftie.
Left at the, they were super left at the time, and I think they're just kind of stars aligned. I heard he got 20, but even $26 million to sell out. Like if you're him, do you need it?
Blake's over there like,
Blake's like, I don't know, man. I'll put a band.
When you're marrying Taylor Swift is a billionaire.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He needs to make sure he's like that prenup's going to be strong.
Yeah.
He ain't going to get any of that.
He might get a Twinkie.
it's like get mine.
All right, cool. Well, you actually got to run because I know you got a 12:45. So
Yeah, we got 12:45 in Naples.
yeah. So and you got to leave like now. So
Oh shoot, really?
guy, yeah. Well, otherwise you won't make it there.
Oh well.
All
A
right.
couple
Well,
days before Thanksgiving, the traffic out there is going to be real rough. So.
I'm not looking forward to that. All right. So, guys, make sure to listen to the Determined Society. It's on every platform you can find it. Sean is an amazing host. Also, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already and go to tclinicsusa.com. Links in the description. Mention the ManLab, 10% off your first package. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace. Thanks, Sean.
Thank you guys. Loved it. What a fun time.